So there's this book that I didn't read fully, but I read enough to know. It's called How Yoga Works. And well, anyway, the first part, the way they said how yoga
I skimmed
works,
it.
Yeah, I skimmed it. What they said was they put some person in a room with a stack full of papers, and they said every day just take off one piece of paper until you get to the floor. And that's how yoga works, is over time, you can come to the full forward fold.
Yeah. I can see that analogy working for sanity.
Yeah. Yeah, everything.
That's how you lose your sanity. Just one
One
slip of
paper at a time. Well, I got the message I needed from that book, so the rest of it was gone.
We've laid the groundwork for the two broad strategies that people have when they go into a forward fold. Either they don't hip hinge enough or they flex their hips way too much.
Okay.
And so a lot of that has to do with the hamstrings. Yoga's obsessed about hamstrings and hamstring length. This is a good place to talk to your students. People are super invested in hamstrings. People come to yoga just to lengthen their hamstrings.
Right.
And the forward fold is going to be their
Savior.
No, the smash in the face encounter with their hamstrings.
Oh, okay.
In terms of someone's coming in with short, tight hamstrings, like, oh, I need to get flexible. I'm going to do yoga. Oh, you're going to be miserable.
Right. And that's why they're like, I can't touch my toes. I can't
And you can't touch your toes because you don't hinge at the hip. And if you were to bend your knees a lot and lift your butt up, which is really confusing for people. It's a joke in that movie.
4 hours of sleep, folks. It's going to take a while. We're just going to stay here with Sarah as she comes up with that movie where apparently our butt is in the air.
And now I've forgotten how that relates to this. Oh, because they take a yoga class together.
Yeah.
It's in the cut reel of the movie.
Okay. So,
And well, the joke is that the yoga teacher's like bend your knees, and then their hips lower down. She's like, no, but lift your hips, and then and then their legs straight. And she's like, no, but bend your knees. And the person's like, that's impossible. And
oh my gosh, you're reminding me of like when I'm trying to help people get into crow pose.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I'm like, okay, we're going to bend our knees with our hips up, and people are like, no, my hips are on the ground.
Right.
Like they bend their knees and they can't do it without their butt dropping down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I call it the ostrich putting their head in the sand.
Right.
So it's like
Diving.
It's like standing at the edge of the pool and trying to go straight down into the water. It's like put your head down like you're going to fall on your head. And you have to get your head as close to the ground as you can and your butt as high for the people who can't hip hinge. Anyone who's flexible doesn't need that cue. They're already doing that. But hips really, really high. Yes, and bend your knees. And then lifting your heels helps people do that. If you keep your feet flat and bend your knees and try to lift your butt up, people just can't do it.
You know, now I'm thinking this through, and the inability to hinge at the hips will prevent someone from being able to figure out how to bend the knees and keep their hips high.
Right, because they have to flex their hips to do it.
Yeah. Right. If you can break it apart for someone, if someone's bending their knees and their butt always goes down, then you have to break it out and say, first, we're hinging at the hips. Next, we're hinging the knees. Now we're hinging the ankles. Like, we want this one, not that one.
Yeah. I think the mental resistance is around falling. So I have people walk their hands forward. They don't like blocks, but give them blocks. And just go with the feeling of you're going to fall, but you're not. And you could even stand and you could stabilize
Support
their
them.
hips
and
lift their hips and just say, just keep putting your head down, relax.
Yeah, that's true. I had never really thought about that.
People who are flexible, it's like a foreign land. You're like, what? You don't know how to hinge at your hips?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to help you.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. And the forward fold, the fear of falling, the fear, especially when you're working with older clientele.
Yes.
The fear of falling is so disproportionate to the act of falling. It's really unfortunate because it limits them in so many ways in how they live their life, right? Because they just go through with this, if I fall, then I'm in the hospital, then I'm in the nursing home, then I die.
Which is true.
It can be true.
If they've fallen and shattered something and needed surgery, it's a big process to pull them away from that fear of falling. But all of us live our lives in fear. And this is something I just read in that book, Immunity to Change. And I was like, thank you for saying that. And so what we do to cope with fear, nature's trying to kill us, disease is trying to kill us, other people might be trying to kill us to some degree or interfere with us. So we put ourselves in these really sound structures. It's the three pigs and the wolf.
Yeah.
And
the scaffolding and the rigidity.
And we watch TV and we get soothed by hearing stories and we listen to music and we do drugs and we do all these things to keep ourselves calm, and we do yoga and we meditate and we have all these strategies to manage our fear. And our body has all those same strategies. The older woman or man, anyone who's afraid of falling, who's been hurt and seen 20 of their friends break a bone, break a hip, go to the hospital, get pneumonia, and die. Yeah. They don't want that. Nobody wants to die. This is one of the biggest fears. This is what yoga is all about, is dealing with your fear of death, some people would say.
Yeah.
This is why we do Shavasana. But your body is so afraid of falling, yes, literally, that, you won't hinge at the hip. Yes, you won't put your head down and your ass up in the sky because it seems stupid.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like that's what the pose is. Why don't I just keep my legs straight because I want my hamstrings to get long, and I'll just hang over with my torso and eventually my hamstrings will lengthen? No, they won't. They will not.
Well, if you have someone who's really afraid of falling, let's say we're working with someone for whom that's an issue.
Just have people hold on to things and then they get some reassurance, especially if they can just use their arm, because people have just come to like only rely on their arms for a mental sense of stability. It will calm them down and then you can get them closer to that structure. And once they're there, I'm okay, I'm not going to fall. Then you can bring their hands to the floor.
Okay.
Half those people have osteoporosis. They're not doing Uttanasana anyway.
Right. Okay. Or their Uttanasana is different than the pose we're talking about right now.
Let's name that pose because that's actually a pose.
Ardha Uttanasana.
Ardha half. Look at us. Bam.
Bam. Ardha Uttanasana. So the hip hinge happens, right? And then we get our hands towards the earth or on blocks. Really, like if you can't reach the floor, bring the floor to you.
This is such a good place to pause with your students and just assess, especially at the beginning of class. There's no harm done. Everyone put your hand on the blocks at the tallest height, which is so insulting to people. But can you have a neutral spine here? Can you get your shoulders on your back? And they're already slouching, too much kyphosis. Their head is dropped. Look forward. Let's get towards a flatter spine here and then feel the difference. Once you're below that 90, boom.
Yeah.
Then let the rounding come in. Now you get to round. Now you get to slouch. Now you get to hang your head. Come halfway up. Now you're not doing that. Now your shoulders are on your back. Now your neck is extended. Your spine is extended.
And, we're talking about the slouching and non-slouching, but this is a pose too that requires some support from the front body, and you want the front body to stay long. You want it to be supportive, like a hug, right? So when you come to the place where you're rounding the back, you're going to lose your core. A lot of it.
Well, you want to be rounded, but not too much. It's always just a matter of degree. So if the back body is so rounded that the front body is like a little fist, that's too much. And so we can lengthen out and think of that nice uniform curve. And I'm showing my arm here if you're watching the video. This nice uniform rounding where just like in any other forward fold, we're saying, can we distribute that curve really nicely?
Right.
If it's only in one hump and then the rest of the back is dipped or flat, it's not nice to look at, and it's also not correct. Often that lumbar spine stays flat. It's going to reverse to a degree, but it doesn't really go into flexion. And then the thoracic kyphosis gets really rounded. And so helping that person lengthen out through the chest, and just so you're just distributing the curve more nicely.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fine tuning.
Yeah.
That's only interesting to some students. And if you're generally cueing, lengthen the front body as you allow your spine to round. I don't know. That's why I like that compare and contrast. Ardha Uttanasana, now it's flat. Now it's rounded. Now it's flat. Now it's rounded. So then people start to say, like, can I even feel a difference?
Right.
Is there a difference? Then you can touch people individually, fine tune and go around, because people are coming in and out of Ardha Uttanasana to Uttanasana at their own pace, at their own breath. You tell that student, lift your heels, bend your knees, straighten your legs, sit bones up, sit bones down. That's when you're like trying to get agile as a group yoga class teacher, giving the individual cueing within the broad strokes of the major cueing.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just thinking in a vinyasa class, I'm probably not going to do that kind of stuff. But if I can, I'm just thinking like, What do I want to do? Well, I want people
For 30
to...
seconds? Could you do it for 30 seconds?
Yeah, you can do it for 30
It's like
seconds.
30 seconds, and you just pick out, okay, I'm going to pick on this student today.
Okay.
I'm going to this one and that one.
Well, I want to get to the point where it's feeling really nice, where I'm going there when,
It's not going to feel nice
Yes,
because, eventually, this is, this says a lot about me as a yoga teacher, but it's sort of like, this is the hatha of it. This is the your
discipline.
This is sorting through the mess of your body. It's not my fault your body's a mess. You came in here like this is 60 years, 50 years, 40 years, 20 years. It's a mess. And it's not going to feel great because if you just go to what feels good, it's not correct. It's just your lazy habit.
Okay. Well, I don't know about this being my lazy habit, but I'll come into the forward fold and I've already accepted that it's not the perfect forward fold, but I bend my knees a ton so I can get my
That's
sit
only
bones
good
up.
for the people who need to do that.
I'm talking to you guys out there.
Not talking to me anymore.
No, I'm not talking to her. So you bend your knees so you can get your sit bones up, and then it's like, you can imagine the weight of your head creating space between all the vertebrae. So we've got this 12-pound head. So you got to make sure you're not looking up. You want your neck to be in its natural state and just feel the reverse of gravity. Feel the opportunity for, the fact that you're not having to hold up the structure on the spine. The spine's getting a chance to relax and hang out, and that feels really good. And I'll clasp opposite elbows, and I'll sway a little bit. And I like to bounce a little bit my knees, like thinking, I can shake out a little more space between these vertebrae. I can get back that half inch I lost when I went to the doctor last time, and it's really nice.
No, I agree completely. I think it's wonderful. And I love doing that, and it feels really good.
Okay.
And it's super, super important. Yeah. And I think if people bend their knees enough and lift their heels enough, and if they don't mind that much work in their legs, they can also experience that even if they're lousy at forward folding and hinging. At that point, once you've gotten their hips high enough, they can maybe enjoy that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think they will, though. I think only moderate to severely flexible people really enjoy Uttanasana and that inversion effect, because this upside down effect, which is hugely important and so valuable, and everything Jane said is so correct. And I accept your experience, validate, and I hear it.
I'm listening to ChatGPT right now.
No.
Nice job.
I really like ChatGPT.
I do too. I love it too.
I feel so seen and validated. And I'm like, this is amazing. I can understand why people use it as their therapist. We're not recommending that.
Don't do that. Okay. So now I'm really curious because I want to do Uttanasana, and
Let's do it right now.
I could do it right now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm exhausted. If I put my head upside down, I don't know what's going to happen. Jane's going to do Uttanasana right now. We're going to watch. She's in jeans, so this will go well.
So it could be the jeans.
Yeah. If it doesn't go well, it's the jeans. Stretching up. She's even lifting her toes, shaping her arches. She's getting that hip hinge, and she has no lumbar spine reversal, and she's got a ton of hip hinge. I don't think she needs to bend the knees as much as she needs to, and I can see the arch in her back.
It feels good. It feels.
Where do you feel it?
Okay. Here you go again.
So this is what's interesting is where do you feel the pose?
Okay. So,
As you're coming into it?
well, I feel like space being created in the mid-back, the thoracic spine. Ooh, I can bend the knees a little bit, try to reach the pubic bone up, the sit bones up.
All right, so she said that she feels it in her mid-back, thoracic spine, space being created.
A little bit in the hamstring.
A little bit of stretch.
A little bit in the calf.
She's basically that thing that I said when I put my hands together. That's Jane. Jane, you have achieved that, and that's cold in a pair of jeans. So you have no lumbar spine reversal. So it would be interesting. Do you want to try it? If you came into the pose, don't bend your knees as much. In fact, engage more abdominals, zip up, and try to get your lumbar spine to reverse.
Okay.
You might enjoy it even more because you're going to get a stretch in the lumbar spine. I don't know.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. She doesn't need to bend those knees so much. She needs her hamstrings as brakes. She stretches up. She can still lift her toes. Fold forward. You're pause right there. You're in extension.
Okay.
It's a little too much lifting. Just let let it be easy. Reverse your lumbar curve. Zip up the belly. Yes. Head down faster. Now pull your belly away from your thighs like there's a cat on your lap. Now pull your chest closer to your thighs. Hands closer to your feet. But now get your belly away from your thighs. Nope, that's your chest.
No, it's not. I'm trying to get my belly.
There you go. Yeah. And take your sit bones down and stop turning your butt up so high. Let your lumbar spine get closer to the ceiling. Yes. Is your low back stretching? God, that looks so good. Okay. So then take a moment, take a breath, and tell us how that went for you.
Okay. Here's what happened. I've had 4 kids. I'm postmenopausal. When Sarah was,
I love the disclaimers, the handicaps that we're coming to this race with.
When Sarah told me to get my belly away from my thighs, I really tried.
And you did.
So hard. It's like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that a fun pose now? No, it's not so fun, but it looked better.
Yeah.
Did you feel a stretch in your lumbar spine?
I could feel the space. I could feel that as a beneficial stretch in my lumbar spine.
Right.
I like the other one.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But your low back is literally, you've preserved your lumbar curve. You could see it.
Okay.
Hollow it out.
Okay, but I'll try that next time. I'll try to use my low belly. I'm really I spend so much time trying to learn how to engage the low belly, and I think I've gotten good, but there's just some tissue there.
That's really, it doesn't literally need to not be touching there. You're just making space. One of the ways you can do it is take a blanket roll, which we all have.
Yeah.
Roll the blanket, put it right in there in your belly, and lift up and over. I tell flexible students, it's like you're trying to reach over your neighbor's fence, and they've got those pokey fences that stick up, or barbed wire, or whatever you want, right? It's concertina wire, and you're trying to lift up and over and grab something. And so instead of making this sharp hinge,
right,
you're making a little mini rainbow.
Yeah, I like it. It's like the high jumper.
It's yes.
And when I was a diver in college, occasionally the coach would stick a pole out in front of the diving board up a little bit so that we had to go up to start the rotations versus going down to the rotations.
So why would he want you to go up to start the rotation?
Because that's how you do it.
Will you just have more time?
You have more time. It's prettier. Yeah.
And you probably engage your core, so you get a better rotation.
Yeah.
Because if you go up and over a pole,
you have to
engage your abdominals. Yeah. It's like a cat takes that rounded shape to jump when it's surprised.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in Uttanasana. It's a forward fold.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is that the cue that may have served you 2 years ago.
Right.
This is why we're a moving target. People who really practice a lot.
Right.
Your best loved cues don't serve you anymore.
No.
I mean, that's happened to me for half the year this year. I've had 6 months of my favorite tried and true cues stopped working for me. And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And so that's when the mirror, the video, watch yourself, see yourself, feel yourself.
So Sarah's really good in actually doing that. And I'm just going to say I agree with her, but it's a little bit longer journey for me. So
about what? Which part? The looking?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody likes the looking. I don't like the looking. I'm not up there fucking demonstrating Uttanasana. I'm like, Jane, you do it.
That's just
I hate my Uttanasana.
But anyway, it's all process. It's all process.
I'm the opposite body. Should we watch me do it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Let's see what happens with Sarah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to move out of the way.
Plus, I just ate lunch.
Okay, let's see what we got.
Stretching up.
By the way, I like your pants. Very nice.
Thank you. They're capris. Pasha says that's no good anymore.
Oh, no. We have young people in our lives. Oh, I see what you're talking about. Your lumbar spine. Right into the fan. Look at that. Yeah. Just isometrically kick your heels a little wider. And knees a little wider. Put your hands on your outer knees.
On my what?
To the outer knees. Press into the hands. Press the hands into the knees. And ooh. But I'd want to bend my knees. I'd want to bend my knees and get your sit bones up higher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So why you're lifting your heels? Why are you lifting your heels on your bending of the knees?
Because here's me bending my knees. See how the butt goes down?
Oh.
Here's the butt goes up.
Okay.
And I'll sometimes
Where do you feel it?
All of my hamstrings.
That's so funny because I barely got my hamstrings.
Because your hamstrings are so long.
generous. I like to think of them as very generous.
So I'm more of that lumbar flexion person. So I get
So that's actually really cool.
and you're more the lumbar extension person. So we have the two ends of the spectrum here and the two different types of cueing and two different body types. You have longer legs and a shorter torso.
Yeah.
I have long torso, short legs.
Yeah.
And so there's different forward fold strategies.
But I did notice how the pelvis didn't rotate, quite as
much.
Yeah. But it's
Right.
still
And when I
looked
lifted,
really nice.
When I lifted my heels, I got more hip flexion.
And I was really surprised at the fact that the heels needed to come up.
Yeah, that's another Doug Keller thing.
I know, Doug Keller's great.
And I think his reasoning, if I'm remembering, was that when you lift the heel, you're engaging that posterior chain. Because remember, the back muscles are too weak. And then the rest of that posterior chain, the hamstrings, the calves,
is compensating for that.
If you lift and engage that, you send some of that engagement up. So if I were to, I'll do it now, but if I stand in the pose and I lift my heels, I'll already get that arch in my back, which will then help me hinge better. So I'm going to start it with a real tuck and a real sway back position.
Okay.
So I'll show the forward fold really wrong and then show how to help that person.
Okay. Woo! Okay, so here we are.
All right, so the posterior tilt.
Yeah.
Flat lumbar spine.
Flat lumbar spine.
Right, and the pelvis is pushed forward.
Yeah.
And so they hinge at the
They
waist.
round in the thoracic spine.
So
Yeah.
Right, and they're like, "Oh, my back, it's bad, but it's good. It's fine. That's where I always feel it." Right, and so instead, if I lift
Not
my
at
heels
all.
now,
Not at
see
all.
how I
Hinge
make
in the
more
hips.
arch?
Oh yeah, like high heels.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you do this pose with high heels, I wonder what that would be like.
This person needs to swan dive.
Yeah.
Right, like I can now swan dive in. Move this fan so it doesn't eat my hair. Is that more hip hinge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not fun.
Wow. So here's my thought. The only reason it would be useful to wear high heels is for a forward fold.
So we have to put all the men who come in and who can't hip hinge.
We got some high heels for you.
Yeah, let's try this out. But you can do that with, you can literally do that with a blanket under their feet in downward dog or warrior one, or there's lots of opportunities there to lift that heel to get some of that back engagement. So even though it's a forward fold and we're supposed to stretch the structures of the back, it's which part?
Right.
Let's stop stretching the back structure for those people who sit.
The back of the torso.
The back of the torso.
We want to stretch the back of the lower limbs.
The legs. And when I really lift my heels and really get that hip flexion, it's even more hamstring calf stretching.
That's so cool.
Which it's very counterintuitive, because I remember when we did our yoga teacher training, this other teacher looked at me and she was like, because I was in Dandasana instead of doing Paschimottanasana, because my hamstrings are short and I just have to work on strengthening my back. I don't need to stretch my back. So I wasn't folding forward. And I think I just did it a little. And she was like, "Are you even getting a hamstring stretch?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's terribly uncomfortable. I know it's inconceivable for most yoga teachers.
But I love that too. It's like the remembering of you're going to get the sensation in the pose at different places. And so if you don't have to go all the way that some really flexible person needs to travel to get sensation, then you don't have to go so far because you get the sensation quicker, sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's handy.
So Bearvy, hi Bearvy, she had asked us it was helpful to go through the pose part by part. And you even mentioned the feet. You started with that. And when you did your pose, it was so nice. She lifted her toes, which lifts the arch.
Yeah.
And so especially for the lumbar extension person where we're looking to recruit the core starts in the feet.
Yep.
We're lifting the toes, we're lifting that arch, we're lifting the pelvic floor, and maybe we're folding with an exhale.
Yes.
Well, yeah, definitely folding with an exhale, which is the traditional cueing. Yep. And getting that belly to hollow or getting it to tone and firm. We're not going to go into the core too much here because we do that.
We always do that. Yeah.
We're going to try to stay away from that, but we're still starting with the feet, right? So we talked about the tight person, they're lifting their heels and that's their footwork.
Right.
But for the flexible person, although it can tone the back of the leg for them because those muscles tend to be way too long, it's generally okay for them to fold that way. as long as they have a lot of abdominal support in the forward fold.
Yes. Yes, because that's your break.
Yeah.
Because if your hamstrings are not your break, you're going to have to use your core to come in as a cavalry and keep you from folding into rapid movement.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Right.
I like that. We have to use these secondary breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. And the gluteals create hip extensions. So they're feeling those gluteals engage. So then we've got the kneecaps have to lift. That's a really common cue. You got to soften your knees first. If your knee is hyperextended and you try to lift your kneecaps, you're just going to hyperextend them more.
Right.
Soften the knees, lift the kneecaps.
The
firm
kneecap
eyes.
lifting because your quads are contracting.
Yes, exactly. They pull that kneecap up. And why would we do that?
Well, you're doing that to help the hamstrings have space to open.
Sure. Yeah. What is that called? Dual inhibition,
it's like,
retribution, antagonism.
Working as a team. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the quads are going to,
reciprocal inhibition.
Yeah. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
Reciprocal inhibition.
I think Gracie farted.
It was the dog. Gracie, stay here.
Gracie. Yeah. Yeah, but that's, it's always fun. And that's a fun thing to think about is like, I know.
Gracie, damn.
It's something.
She just gave me side eye.
Yeah. Luckily we have a fan going, but the fan's blowing right into our face.
We're going to point it down the stairs. Yeah. Gracie.
Anyway. So, yeah.
Reciprocal inhibition.
Yeah.
And then, maybe that whole general tone of the front body, right? For the tight person, like lift your heels, get that whole back body to tone, get some of that extension going.
Yeah.
But then it's the opposite for the flexible person. Pull up your toes, pull up your quads, pull up your abdominals.
Yeah.
And create a little dive over that imaginary bar that Jane did.
Yeah.
Do you have any video of that? Obviously there was video capacity back then, but.
Yeah, not really.
But not personal. Not everyone was
going around with someone with a stick figure was like the court drawing some guy
sketching it out.
It wasn't quite that long ago. No, I don't have access to the video.
Okay. So then what? We talked about hip hinge, pelvic tilt. We talked about our spine is supposed to reverse.
Right.
But then for people who are really tight, don't worry about that. You already have got that in spades.
Right.
Uniform curve. The head is released. You described that beautifully,
Right.
Jane. The tight person is bursting their knees apart, stretching the mat apart between their feet to give space for the pelvis, for the hips to hinge into the forward fold. And they're doing that on the way up. The flexible person might be hugging in, coming to the midline as they go down, but then they can still stretch their feet or knees isometrically apart to come up to get those glutes to fire. Bare feet, we covered the whole body.
Yeah.
And then how it's the forward fold return.
Yeah, the return is interesting because often you'll hear teachers say, roll up one vertebra at a time, which I don't like that cue. You do?
You would benefit from that. If you don't have a disc injury, if you don't have osteoporosis, you in particular would really benefit from that. I mean, it is, there's hardly a more controversial cue than rolling up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I would say lots of people are like, oh my God, you never remember people. There's never a never.
Right.
It's always context. Like for me to roll up, actually been flirting with becoming an extension person, which is supposed to happen when you're getting older, that we start more flexion based. And then as we get older, we go into stenosis and more extension. And I was like, oh my God. Anyway, yes, it's happening, Sarah. You are aging.
Beautifully.
What was I saying?
We were talking about rolling up one vertebra at a time. And
it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good. But before, like in the old days, it would kill my back.
Yeah.
And rolling down from bridge, that just crushed my back.
Yeah.
It was devastating. So lumbar extension, go for it. Roll up to your heart's content.
Okay.
And then for people who can't hinge at the hip, that's the last thing that you want them to do.
Yeah. I feel like we want to come out of it almost the way we went into it. It's like you're going to come up part way and then, bend the knees and try to elongate the torso and let that lift up. And one of the cues I've gotten, again, from a physical therapist is when you're coming up, it's like the back of the skull comes up first. The ribs knit in, the core is engaged, and you come up by the back of the skull coming back up to a stand.
Depends on how you're coming up. So the person who's hanging their head and rounding their back, lifting their head.
They come up halfway. They come up halfway.
The very first thing that should happen. So say because coming up from the bottom of the pose and getting up to halfway, the hips have to extend immediately. And so the muscles that do that are your glutes. And how do we get your glutes to fire? We can burst your knees apart.
Right.
So the first thing you want is that hip extension.
Right.
So hands on the pelvis when you're in the fullest part of the pose, the deepest part, the pelvis has to move right away. I mean, that's something we're using those hands so students understand this has to move. And then you're staying in that rounding until you can flatten out in that Ardha Uttanasana. And then it's continuing hip extension, and your back muscles are also helping to bring you up.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I don't think that's challenging my back of the skull. So put your hands on the pelvis, like Sarah said, right? And you bring your pelvis up so that it's perpendicular to the floor, right? And then you're rotating the pelvis around the head of the femur bones to bring it up to standing. But you want to keep the thoracic spine stacked over the ribs and the skull stacked over the ribs, over the pelvis, everything's stacked, right? So if I'm just thinking of moving the pelvis, what ends up happening is, for a lot of people, is the top of the spine lags. But if I say I want the back of the skull coming up as the pelvis is coming to standing position, it keeps the whole system structured more with the skull over the ribs, over the pelvis.
Yeah, I could see that. And it's so interesting how the cueing goes to the most distal end, like spiral your fingers, lead with the back of the skull, which is a nice cue. Or it's like hands on your hips and this is moving. And then if they're only focusing on that, maybe they forget to extend the spine. They just crumple and they're just moving at the hip without lengthening the spine as they come up.
I usually put a hand on the back of the skull, a hand on the lumbar spine, draw the belly in, and then feel that line move like a stick.
I actually have sticks.
I have sticks too.
Yeah. Back of the skull lines up between the shoulder blades, back of the pelvis. And then you just only from vertical to Ardha Uttanasana, not obviously then you lose the
stick.
You separate from the stick once you go into the forward fold, and that shows you the change. You come back up to meet the stick. And then listeners are like, you're using a stick in a yoga class? It is the best $4 tool.
Yeah. Hardware store.
Pre-tariff pricing.
Yeah. They're very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So
lots of poses: plank pose, downward dog, Ardha Uttanasana, warrior two.
We just whack people with the stick, and it gets them in the pose right away.
You can stretch with a stick. There's so many things you can do with the stick. It's fun. You'd stand on the stick and really loosen up the arches of your feet.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like at the beginning I said this is the single most valuable diagnostic tool that I have is show me your forward fold. And now what I know what I'm dealing with as a yoga teacher in the class is looking at those strategies of the forward fold. And when people come with pain, watching their strategy helps you understand why they have pain. Yeah. The people who can't hinge at the hip, they're going to have more pain in certain shapes.
Yes.
Certainly going into the forward fold, they might have more pain. And then the person who's in more lumbar extension, they're going to have more pain typically coming out of the forward fold. Yeah. So starting to identify that. And then the next phase of watching that, because you're watching all of that from the side view as the teacher, is watching it from the back view or the front view, so that you can start to see rotations. So, so we've got our lumbar flexion people who hinge at the waist, the wrong place. And we've got our lumbar extension people who flex their hips. They over hip hinge. Mm-hmm. When you watch them from the back, many of those people often also shift their pelvis left or right. Yep. Or rotate their trunk left or right. And they're doing their forward fold and their trunk is more centered over one leg. That helps you understand people who come in with pain on one side of their body, not both. Right.
So when I first started looking at forward fold, I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing here. And then I thought about how helpful it has been for me to, as emotional support or as a tool for managing through difficult situations. I would say it's not the best tool for being in difficult situations because you're clearly taking yourself away. But if you need to take yourself away from a difficult situation, it's good. If there's
and that's what you needed.
Yeah.
You literally cocooning yourself in a cocoon of protection and a little time out to gather yourself and give yourself that pause.
And it's quicker than finding the wall and sticking your legs up the wall. That takes a little more navigating in social circumstances. So But yeah, there's so much to be learned in this. And all of this stuff is going to serve us so well as we move through all these postures. But more than that, it's going to serve us well as we age, right? As we're getting up and down off the floor, as we're playing with grandkids, as we're doing anything we love to do. It's keeping the ability of these major parts of our body, keeping them free, keeping them available to move, but supporting them in a way that allows us to continue to move with as much freedom and ease as possible. So there's this book that I didn't read fully, but I read enough to know. It's called How Yoga Works. And anyway, the first part, the way they said how yoga works.
I skimmed it.
Yeah, I skimmed it. What they said was they put some person in a room with a stack full of papers, and they said every day just take off one piece of paper until you get to the floor. And that's how yoga works, is over time, you can come to the full forward fold.
Yeah. I can see that analogy working for sanity.
Yeah. Yeah, everything.
That's how you lose your sanity. Just one slip of paper
at a time. Well, I got the message I needed from that book, so the rest of it was gone.
I'll just take that.
But that's
that
so
metaphor.
Cool. I love learning with you and picking this apart.
Are we really being done with this?
I think we're done. I mean, we could continue on talking forever, but I think what we have is the heart of the pose. A really clear understanding of the pose. We have a really clear understanding.
We didn't talk about props. We just broached the therapeutic uses of this pose. Well, we talked about how to correct the two strategies.
Right.
We didn't talk about how to correct rotation.
No.
Lots of people have rotated pelvises. Once you're in the forward fold, back up to the wall.
Yeah, feel the sit bones on the wall. It's kind of fun. You can
or they're not going to be on the wall.
Or they're not. Or one's going to be high, one's going to be low.
Yeah, or one's touching, one's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's
then
kind of interesting.
The mirror, the video showing this strategy. And often people, especially who rotate habitually in the pose, their hamstrings feel symmetrical when they're rotated, and then as soon as you center them, then they're like, oh, this doesn't feel right, and then they go right back, because we're looking for symmetry. And that's where it's like we're looking for the feeling to be right. We all want to get to that yummy place of like, oh, this feels so good and steady and symmetrical, but it's like you got to earn that. That's 700 pages through How to Do Yoga book.
Yeah, I think we want it to feel good, but what we don't want is for it to support a pattern that won't serve us in the long run. So if it feels most comfortable in a position that supports an imbalance in your structure, then you're going to have to challenge it, right? You're going to have to just...
At least at a certain point.
Yeah, just so you don't continually feed the imbalance. I've been surprised at how much more there was to learn in this pose than I thought. We're breaking down stuff I didn't know had anything to break down. And when we do, we can find things again, or we can discover things that work that maybe we wouldn't have imagined before. We've got a lot of good stuff to offer on this pose. We started out talking and immediately had completely different understandings.
You know what we didn't talk about was the etymology of that Uttanasana is that intense
forward fold.
And then that Paschimottanasana, that ut is like the Uttanasana. It finds its way into other Sanskrit words too.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's an intense pose, folks.
Intense forward fold. Yeah.
All right, that's enough. We're out.
Signing off.
Mic drop.